In late May 2026, a sudden medical crisis overwhelmed the Pune neighborhoods of Phugewadi and Hadapsar. Within a single 48-hour window, dozens of men were rushed to emergency rooms with symptoms that local doctors couldn't immediately explain. The medical situation turned lethal almost instantly. By the time authorities could react, 14 men were dead, and 5 others were in critical condition, their internal organs failing. As police interviewed survivors and hospital staff, they found a common thread. Every victim had consumed liquor from local vendors shortly before their symptoms began, suggesting a single toxic batch had hit the streets. Because these deaths occurred simultaneously across 2 different areas, investigators realized they weren't looking at isolated accidents. Instead, they were tracing the impact of a centralized distribution chain that had successfully pushed a lethal product into multiple neighborhoods at once. The medical reports coming out of Yashwantrao Chawarn Memorial Hospital were harrowing. Victims arrived with heavy breathing, dizziness, and frothing at the mouth, symptoms that indicated a severe chemical assault on the body. The cause was methanol. When ingested, the body converts it into formic acid, causing blood pH to plummet into acidosis. This acid disrupts cellular oxygen delivery. As internal chemistry turns toxic, major organs shut down before doctors can identify the poison. For bootleggers, the incentive is purely financial. Methanol mimics the kick of drinking alcohol, but costs a fraction of the price, allowing them to maximize profits by substituting a lethal chemical for ethanol. To the victims, the liquor looked and tasted normal. They were consuming a chemical used in antifreeze and fuel, perfectly disguised as a recreational drink, unaware that their bodies were beginning to shut down with every sip. With the death toll climbing, Pune police shifted from a medical emergency to a criminal investigation, attempting to walk the supply chain backward from the hospital beds. Detectives in the Hadapsar area made the first connection, linking 4 of the deaths to a single street-level vendor named Akash Jadhav. However, 10 other men had died in Phugewadi, miles away from Jadhav's operation. Both groups of victims showed the same symptoms, indicating they were part of the same toxic network. This map shows the geographic spread. The 2 clusters in Hadapsar and Phugewadi are separate, but their shared timeline suggested they were drawing from a single distribution hub, capable of supplying both sides of the city. Capturing small-scale vendors was only the first step. These 2 clusters proved that a larger, centralized illicit network was successfully bypassing city regulations to move bulk quantities of the lethal batch. The breakthrough came when the State Excise Department identified Yogesh Wankhede as the primary bootlegger responsible for supplying both neighborhoods. When police raided Wankhede's distribution hub, they found a massive variety of product ready for the streets, an industrial counterfeiting ring. These branded boxes and professional labels blended perfectly with legitimate inventory, making it nearly impossible to spot the fraud. Police arrested 8 people in connection with the ring. Instead of simple prohibition charges, they were booked for culpable homicide, a charge that reflects the inherent lethality of their product. To ensure a deeper probe into the syndicate's finances and logistics, the investigation was handed over to the Crime Investigation Department, a specialized unit capable of tracing the network beyond the local level. By utilizing the CID and pursuing homicide charges, the state signaled that this case was being treated as more than a series of reckless mistakes. It was being prosecuted as the predictable outcome of a coordinated criminal enterprise. As the names of the 14 victims were released, grief in the community turned into vigilantism. Local workers and residents took to the streets, physically destroying suspected liquor dens in the Hadapsar area. Local MLAs quickly escalated the issue to the state level, accusing the Home Department of allowing a corrupt system to flourish, where illicit networks could operate without fear of intervention. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis responded by stating that the entire ecosystem behind the tragedy had been identified, promising that the crackdown would extend beyond the 8 men already in custody. What began as a localized poisoning event quickly became a state-level political crisis, forcing the government to acknowledge severe regulatory gaps that allowed the Wankhede network to exist in plain sight. The specific Wankhede network has been dismantled, and its members are awaiting trial, but the demand for cheap, untaxed liquor that fueled their rise hasn't disappeared. The 14 lives lost in Pune are a stark reminder of the risks present in an underground market where there is no oversight and the chemical purity of a product is left entirely to those seeking a profit. While this specific syndicate has fallen, the investigation suggests a broader challenge. For as long as these supply chains can hide behind sophisticated packaging and corrupt systems, the line between a recreational drink and a lethal dose remains dangerously thin.